Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Commander-in-Chief of the Sankirtan movement in the 20th century. As we go into the 21st century, his living disciples are still here. And they are, keep the doors open please, so it's going to get stuffy. They are, what is that? Yatiraj. They are great generals. They are great generals. And it's actually a blessing of his that they still remain. And particularly Srila Purima's, that he still remains in this world to clarify many important points for our progress in spiritual life. It's very important. Without his current clarification, I think many people would be lost, because the time of Srila Maharaj was nearly 11 years past now. He passed away. And when that happens, well, clouds, sometimes even darkness sets in. So it's always so wonderful when Krishna has some most qualified representative present to guide. So part of that guidance that we receive is, no Sridhar Maharaj, no Parampara. He is so important in the overall picture and in the specific relation of our Guru Maharaj, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He is indispensable. That Keshav Maharaj would recognize the position of Sridhar Maharaj, or Bhaktiswarupa Goswami, or other direct disciples of Saraswati Thakur, that is some negligible for them. They're directly related, and they have their connection, and they know the Siddhanta and all these things. But the happy story is, none of those persons vilified Srila Maharaj or thought anything less than the highest of him. But the option was there. They may not, have so much whatever. There is no option for us. He must be held in the highest regard, or we are cutting ourselves from the line of shiksha. We are cutting ourselves from the line of the sannyas parampara mantra. And we are cutting ourselves from heart's affection to the line of the greatest servitors of the Supreme Lord. And in the last days of Prabhupada's life, he told, in response to the question, clearly, is there anywhere we can go? Is there anyone we can hear from as regards philosophy? Really, we never use that word in ISKCON, Siddhanta. Previously, it is an unknown word. They have never used that. We only speak in the English philosophy. So we didn't say to Prabhupada, if there is any question in our mind, anywhere we can go to learn this Siddhanta or clarification Siddhanta. Understand? Now people use the word more like Siddhanta. What's the Siddhanta? It's just philosophy. Prabhupada says, yes. For philosophy, for Siddhanta, you may go to my God, Brother Srila Maharaj, and not with me. You know what that sound was in the ears of everybody there? That sound from Srila Prabhupada was pure nectar, because everybody there knew who Srila Maharaj was. Everybody there knew how intimately they are related. You have that book of Prabhupada and Srila Maharaj taking prasadam?
Yeah, I have.
I don't know if you devotees have ever seen it. Huh?
I can bring.
Go get it. Everybody knew. When Sridhar Maharaj would come to our Caitanya Chandra, Srila Prabhupada's response was almost like childish, He would come straight out of the shower. Once he came right out of the shower in a gamsha, all the way downstairs to meet Sridhar Maharaj at the taxi, in a red gamsha. Now Sridhar Maharaj is here, down the stairs, 2 flights of stairs out of the bathroom in a gamsha. That same staircase where he would come down with flowers and roses and everybody in the morning with the whole entourage of sannyasis and his silks coming to greet the deities in the Vyasa. On that same staircase he just came running down in his gamsha. We saw the same thing when Haridas Babaji Maharaj came. In his gamsha he was dancing with Babaji. in his room, the room where you all go for darshan of Prabhupada and Krishna Balaram Temple, in his main room where the bed is. And he and Babaji were dancing in that room. Prabhupada in the roomship. Everybody says, look, who is this? They wanted to keep him out when the people heard. They said, someone brought him and said, he's a godbrother of Prabhupada, he wants to meet Prabhupada. Right, the godbrother. No, he's very close. You please tell him, tell Prabhupada that Babaji Maharaja is here. So, yeah, okay. And the devotees went in, and Srila Prabhupada was just coming out of the bath, finished drying off, and he had his gumshoe on. And they announced that Srila Prabhupada, I'm sorry to disturb you, but one of your godbrothers is here, and he says his name is Babaji Maharaj. Prabhupada blew right out of the room, almost knocked his servant over, And as soon as Babaji saw Srila Prabhupada, Haribol! And Bengali style, and he starts singing. And they start dancing in that room. And everybody's looking, who's this? Where went, generally Prabhupada was the king. His finger you all see is always up. He's taking prasadam. He's like a king, wherever, like a swan, right? Suddenly all that was gone. And almost like a frivolous child, he's dancing and chanting. We didn't see that very often. Didn't see that very often. When Sridhar Maharaj come, he would come in that way, always eager to greet him. And he was invited to install the deities at Mayapur. Srila Sridhar Maharaj was invited to preside over the deity installation at Chaitanya Chandradori Mandir. I forget the year. So, actually that's the time Srila Prabhupada came down in the Gumshoe. I think it was 74 or 75. Must have been 74. And that's when he came to the car in the Gumshoe. Then he brought Sridhar Maharaj upstairs and he sat him down. Then Srila Prabhupada got dressed, put on tilak, they talked for a few minutes. So then Prabhupada told Sridhar Maharaj, so you'll be here, you're comfortable here? Yeah. So then Prabhupada went down and he came back 3 hours later. He went downstairs and installed the deities. With a big thing. I mean, when this comes up with big things, it's a big thing. The big yajna, the bathing, the whole 9 yards. And he's there, and there's like, those days, maybe 400 devotees. He's gone for 2.5 to 3 hours. And he leaves, Sridhar Maharaj just sitting on the bed. So when he came back up, Sridhar Maharaj's servant, he got bewildered. Because he could understand, they're installing the deities, and they just left Sridhar Maharaj just sitting on the bed. And then, respectfully, Sridhar Maharaj's servant asked our Prabhupada, he said, Swami Maharaj, I don't know, you please enlighten me. You requested Sridhar Maharaj to come here and install the deities. Then you set him on the bed and you went there and did everything for 2.5 hours. I cannot understand. And Prabhupada told him, you don't know. If Sridhar Maharaj is on the property, everything is automatically done by him. So his idea of Sridhar Maharaj install the deities was not to make him labor with the ladle to pour the yogurt. His idea that Sridhar Maharaj installs the deities is he's just on the property chanting the holy name. Or sleeping even. And Krishna is going to come. That was the level of his regard for Sridhar Maharaj. And you've all seen that famous picture they're sitting on the Vyasa together. There's a video of that. And it shows them greeting the deities. Sridhar Maharaj is a lot taller than Srila Prabhupada. Seemed that way always, but in this video he really looks a lot taller. And he has Srila Maharaj in the front, and they're greeting the deities in the old temple. And somebody's got a camera stuck up in the air. It's just a few seconds of video. And then they're greeting the deities. I think it's from after they pay their obeisances. They're just standing up. Again, that means they already see the deities on the body. Standing up. And then Srila Prabhupada reaches over and he takes a hold of Srila Maharaj's arm in a most, what we call body language. Means by the gesture, you can see that the gesture, just his touching him, is so much affection is there in the gesture. And he touches him and he goes like this with his hand. And then Sridhar Maharaj turns and they start towards the Vyasa Sun. It's a very short film. Generally, I'm visiting a temple and we greet the deities or something like that, and then my godbrother goes, slaps you on the shoulder, and then you go somewhere else. It's very hard to find the kind of affection, you see, that we find here between Srila Maharaj and our Guru Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. It is rare. It is very, very rare. So then they go and they sat on the Vyasa Sun that day. But neither one of them gave the lecture. Govinda Maharaj gave the lecture. They both sat on the Vyasa Sun, and Srila Maharaj's disciple gave the lecture, a short lecture. So there were many, many, many things. So that's why we say that's an extreme thing. No Sridhar Maharaj, no Parampara. It sounds fanatical, but it's completely backed by Prajna and Acharyas today who confirm. What is the position of Sridhar Maharaj in terms of the disciplic succession of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, and when we go deeper, we will find what is his position given in terms of the line of Sri Rupa Goswami, the Rupa Nuva Varga. Very, very high position there in terms of the mantra, in terms of the shiksha, and in terms of the all-out general blessing. And in the last days of our Srila Prabhupada, before he actually began to withdraw from the world, he gathered so many disciples there to see Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And if you hear the tape, you read something in the book, Affectionate Guardians, you can see the manuscript. One fine day you'll hear that tape. Because the sound of a man's voice, I can say, don't do that. And there can be an explanation. But don't do that. That's an explanation. You can say, don't do that. There's so many ways to say, don't do that. And there's an explanation on the page. That means there was some kind of don't, But when you hear it, then you'll know exactly what is the meaning. And you hear His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, describing Srila Sridhar Maharaj and his position, and him telling the Jayon prayers, and his voice faltering. Faltering? Shaking the voice, almost breaking. Then you'll know what is Sridhar Maharaj in relation to our Guru. So it is impossible for anybody to even progress properly by neglecting him innocently. In our family of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, it's not possible to progress properly, even neglecting him. And of course, neglect, something will come. But offense, closed. Closed means it's over. No progress. It is not possible to offend Sridhar Maharaj and continue to make any progress whatsoever in Krishna consciousness. So, then from the other side, we're saying something about neutrality, what that will get you, and then offense, well, don't even think it, that will get you ruined. Then, the other side is a positive interest. So it's an absolute requirement, and particularly in our Sangha, in our ashram, in my ashram, that either God brother, either any disciple of any other person, for example, is there any Western disciple of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj who has no regard for Sridhar Maharaj?
That I can think of.
And if there is, he's not in such good standing. That's almost impossible. Just due to Srila Puri Maharaj's intense regard for Srila Sridhar Maharaj, it's not possible for his disciples not to have similar or same. Unless they just aren't aware because of their situation, where they live in the world. But anybody who's there at the mud, and in proper standing, they will know. So, that's a necessity to come to the positive side and make the substantial connection. That's what I'm telling you. The substantial connection should be sought first, not just the formal. Formal connection is getting the diksha formally. That is, then what we're living is a repeat of this God. So many formal lines of initiation are given in this God. And the disciples sometimes go away with that, and they find out that they're dissatisfied. Maybe they had one connection, if it didn't work, If they just formally take another one, they'll find out they didn't gain it. Nothing happened. They'll be in the same position. So we must look to the deeper substance first. So I saw somebody wrote a joke that in ISKCON there were different regular principles. They had the 4 regular principles, and then the 5th one was never leave ISKCON or something like that. Yeah, because I think at one time they did that. So whatever. But I also have a similar thing. Here are the 4 regular principles, and the 5th one is, you must be already attracted to Srila Maharaj. And that's like a 5th regular principle, unspoken. So that's very, very important. If we just go on adjusting, then nothing will come of that. We want to see the thing more substantially. So that's what required. If somebody is accepting a line, and they're not formally initiated, that's the negligible part. First is the heart connection, accepting a line. Then they're safeguarded. They're in a very safe position. Then, of course, the formality must become. You see, what changes between a man and a woman before their marriage or after their marriage? Once they are engaged, they're as good as married, but the connection is still not intimate. But there's no anxiety there. This will be my wife. In fact, the old cultural system is you get people engaged when they're very young. They remain engaged for years. It just pacifies the whole mind. It's like it's a closed issue. That's your wife. Okay. It's out of the mind. We're young at a certain age, and the mind's going, this is my wife. I'm going to get married. I don't know about her. She looks good. She looks smart. So to pacify that, there was engagement. Then after some time, there would be marriage. Then after some time, they would live together. They didn't even live together immediately in the old days because they know, this is fire. Marriage is fire. And if not done properly, they'll be burned. So there are some systems. So first we accept Guru in our heart. That's the substantial thing. That will take us in a closer connection. And all that we receive from him after that will be far, far more meaningful. Now, he may be of the highest caliber, but if we simply go there for some social adjustment, get the Guru part of the puzzle in place, and then go away, then what he actually is, the wealth of him, that will not come to us by such a negligible connection. Sometimes people used to come to Srila Maharaj. Actually, in the beginning, when devotees used to come from ISKCON, he rarely gave anyone initiation. Rarely. And his reason was, I will go from this world very soon. Who will guide them? Who will guide them? Then, after some time, after 2 or 3 years, that line was crossed, and he felt confident that those who took initiation from him in his advanced age, they will be able to take guidance in this world after his disappearance because of there being other qualified persons to guide them. God brothers, other preachers and sannyasis, etc. Then came a time where more people would come. They could just show up. They just show up on a plane, come in the ashram, just ask for initiation. Still, there was a line to cross. And he would ask us then, what would be their service connection? This was very important. This line remained forever. He never dropped that line. Line means not something you say. It means like a line. It's there. You see that. That is always important. The other one was kind of, okay, we have put that one behind us. Govinda Maharaj will be there. Other sannyasis are there. They will guide these new devotees. Then Srila Maharaj accept, all right. But the question, what will be their service connection? He never put that behind him. That was always there. And he used to say, because even after taking mantra, Harinam and mantra, if we have no service connection to Guru, our progress in the line of Harinam and mantra will be negligible. Negligible. We must have service connection. And then further inquiry, what about the mood of that service connection? And he used to say, service connection does not come from our own expression. It does not come. You cannot create your own service. That's not service. Service must always come from above. It comes to us from above. That is real service. He said, you want to study any book, even the Srimad Bhagavatam. If you are not doing that under the order of Gurudev, the benefit for you is negligible to zero. So the negligible benefit, that's quite impressive, like Namabhas. Namabhas is the negligible effect of the holy name, liberation. Most devotees, you see in Kirtan, dancing, and somebody comes back and they go, whoa, it should have been Arati, it was ecstatic Kirtan. That ecstatic is Namabhas. That's just the, what is the word? We'll just say the good feeling and the happiness that comes from being freed from sinful activities and all kind of mundane things. Srila Prabhupada once called that ecstatic kirtan bile secretion. He said ecstasy is simply bile secretion. When we enter the plane of ecstasy, ananda, then it is steady. The same person's ecstatic kirtan, Sunday at the Sunday feast, he ate so much sweet rice, Monday morning, don't even want to talk to this guy. You know? He'll blow your ears right off your head. He's so grouchy, you know. But the evening before was an ecstatic kirtan. So these just become vocabularies. That is not ecstatic. When one enters ecstatic plane, he doesn't come down from that. Which brings us to another point. I met a bhakta the other day, and I said, where are you from? He said, Vaikuntha. And I said, no chance. No chance. You were never in Vaikuntha. What? Never in Vaikuntha? Never in Vaikuntha. Either you were there from the beginning, or you reached to that plane from here, once having gone there in any case, one never departs. So from the ecstatic plane, you cannot come down to, again, being bewildered by the senses, again, being disturbed by the mind. All that is far, 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 far gone. But in Namabhas is so potent, so powerful. That a certain euphoria, that's a certain euphoria is there in the Namabhas. When compared to mundanity, it seems like, yes, this is it. This is ecstatic. No, there is some qualitative difference. We are not to position ourselves in the Namabhas stage. We should move through that stage to the Sudhanam, the pure devotional plane. That is a long journey. You should finish up being a Kanishta in the first week you're in the ashram. That's actually the standard. Then the Madhyam, you should be prepared for your life to pass that. That's the long journey. That's crossing the ocean. But you should bear in mind, we're meant for crossing the ocean, not simply getting somewhere in the middle and simply staying there. So a devotee will always think of himself as a Kanishta. But actually, if you're just remaining Kanishta, well, there are many possibilities. And first we say, well, that's no credit to your Guru Parampara, first off. If after so many years, actually in reality, you feel Kanishta, that's good, but actually you are Kanishta, that's bad. And that's no credit to your Guru Maharaj. If you come to the Madhyam plane, then this is very good, but you should be a progressive Madhyam. And progress means on the map, so to speak, you're making progress to the goal. And when you say the goal is love of Krishna, you won't actually find it. You'll never get there if your goal is so hazy. When you enter the ocean and you just say, I'm going to America, it's like, good luck. You better be on the GPS satellite system. You'll be running around out there forever. You'll never get there. That's why the people used to get so afraid navigating the seas. They get lost. People used to get lost at sea. Well, you think, well, you just head east and go, but if you head south from Jagannath Puri, you go to the end of the earth. You don't hit nothing. You'll just go all the way down to the South Pole. So how you'll do that? Then you'll turn this way, and you'll turn that way, and you get lost. So you cannot have the goal as some hazy thing. You have to know exactly what that is. In general, you have, okay, I'm going there. Right? You meet some Indian boys, I'm going to America. Well, that's very nice. But But first he learns, I'm going to the embassy first. Many details. Then I'm going to a ticket office. He just doesn't go to America. He gets very, very suspicious. Right up to the door. Right up to the door. You get there and you lay your passport down. There's some redneck Marine looking at you, and he goes, what are you going to do here? And you go, and he goes, go back. Right up to the door of America. You got it all together. Right there. There's some guy to block you and ask you a question. And some people just, and they just lose it. They take him in a room and they drill him and they go up and they put him back in the plane, send him back with the king. Some example. So, you have to have a clear understanding of what the goal is. That is required, not the hazy understanding. So then we move through the Madhyam plane with a clear understanding of the goal, and then we're considered progressive. So in the Madhyam stage, we will reach exalted positions such as Nishta. Nishta means fixed. No more wavering. No more momentary thought of anything other than the goal. Nishta. It's like a wave on a screen. It's kind of, and you're trying to, like a radio station. You're dialing that thing and it's going right past it and finally it just clicks right on. And there it's just a clear sound. Then you're hearing, then you're going on, you're getting the message. So Nishta is reached. Bhava and Prema, that comes into Uttama stage. Bhava and Prema. And what we experience in the Madhyam stage is some dawn of that, which first manifests as Ruchi. Ruchi. Ruchi is very exalted. Really taste for the holy name of Krishna. Really a taste for the holy name of Krishna. And, it's a bewilderment that how those with great taste for the holy name, how they can chant so many names in a day. To me, it's a bewilderment. Because some taste for the holy name, that may leave you a little stunned when you begin to taste the holy name. Actually, there's one sloka, I cannot give you the Sanskrit. It says, when you actually taste the holy name, you won't be able to chant it. It will make you dumb and stunned first. Then, the name will allow you to chant. So when we first come in contact with Krishna in the higher sense, we become stunned, senseless even. Then, crossing that line, we may go on and make progress. So, but Bhava and Prema, that's in the Uttama stage. Ruchi, Ashakti, great attachment, that may come to Nishta, Ruchi, Ashakti, that is in the Madhyam stage. And this other thing, then Kanishta stage, actually nothing comes to us. In the Kanishta stage, nothing is there, just some vaguest conception of God. You don't even get nice sadhu sangha in Kanishta. I mean, with all due respect, I went by Krishna Balaram temple last night. To me, it's a nightmare. Because it's like hours of the day and blood are passing, and just people are jibber jab, blah, 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 all over the place. You can just see it running out, sucking down linkas, blah, blah, women painting their faces, looking for husbands. It's just like, what a nightmare. In the time of Srila Prabhupada, no one was allowed to go in the restaurant. There was no restaurant for devotees. You take prasadam. And no one paid for prasadam, you just took prasadam. Yeah. We had that nice restaurant in the guest house, and it was only for life members. And on the rarest occasion when the Sankirtan party came back at 1 o'clock, hadn't eaten all day, completely like something like that, missed the prasadam, starving, prasadam would be gotten from the restaurant and they'd take it to their room. 2 or 3 devotees, something to take prasadam. And once I saw Sagar Maharaj sitting in the restaurant with some brahmacharis come back from Sankirtan over in the corner. And I was looking for some member, and I looked around and said, what are they doing in here? Shocked to see them in the restaurant. Now it's like, if you wanted to take a life member to the restaurant, you take them to the door and you go, there's nowhere to sit down, the place is filled with devotees. Some years back they had mock meat. What's it called? Mock barbecue. Mock barbecue. Well, what's our connection with mock barbecue when we're living in the dump? What's the point? This is all some enjoying. There was no restaurant there. So Krishna consciousness is not a social event. And sadly, we've all wasted a lot of time in the social side. It's just a waste of time. We should busy ourselves in the evening. We should either be in kirtan, in the class, sitting in association of devotees, hearing the scripture, working on a manuscript, learning the Dhamma, something very positive. This thing where we're just standing looking at each other's faces, talking, is an absolute waste of life. Everybody's talking about the fall down of this one and the fall down of that one. In Srila Maharaja's ashram, he told, if we talk about the fall down of these persons, and Harikesh Maharaj found that shit, what benefit will we get from that? Nothing. So if we discuss Jud Bharat, how Jud Bharat fell down, from that discussion, we will learn something very profound. We will even become purified from that. But if we discuss the unfortunate situation of any particular jiva, like that, then first, no good, and second, maybe bad things will come to us from that. Even discussing their maya, that maya may attach itself to us, you see. Because somewhere, enmity is like a magnet, you see. It attracts bad qualities. So, while discussing, the fall down of some person, if in our own heart some enmity is there, maybe even unknown to ourselves, because one of the most difficult things in life is just to come face to face with yourself, grips to grip with who you are and where you're really at. That's one of the major milestones in life. So if we haven't done that yet, then we're discussing the fall down of such and such Swami, Maharaja, or whatever, the very things that we're criticizing in him and saying, like this, that envy like a magnet, it draws that contamination to our own heart. And particularly, and Srila Srila used to say, what do you know of him? And what do you know of the Supreme Lord? You criticize his fall down, but it may be directly order of the Supreme Lord. He may himself orchestrated this person's fall down. And in criticizing him, you are indirectly criticizing the Supreme Lord. So, really, we want to avoid any kind of talk about fall down of other devotees. It is very risky business. Unfortunately, because of the sahajiyas, some people try to take the status of a fallen devotee and present that as, the activity of an uttamadhikari, and therefore sometimes we have to enter into the thing and separate, the truth from the illusion. Right? But that does not mean that it is without risk. Even doing that, it's like, there are people, you must sell them the books. But there's a risk when you go to sell them the book. It's the most righteous thing you're doing. But, you knock on the door and you open the door and it's happened. People have gone out to sell the book. The most righteous thing you could do to help a fallen soul and knock on the door and open the door, and some half-dressed lady opened the door and it was like, dope. Boom. That was it. History. So you have to protect yourself. We used to always go in pairs, 2 at a time. 2 devotees. In the beginning of our movement, you couldn't, in Los Angeles when I was there was an alley, means a street, and 30 yards, 30 meters, there was a washing place where machine for washing clothes. You could not go to the washing machine alone. No one was allowed to go to wash their clothes alone. Anywhere in the temple you could go. There were no locks on bathroom doors. There were no locks on the inside of any door except the lock of the office. You couldn't go in a room and lock the door. There were no locked doors in the temple. And you were not allowed to go anywhere. Why? For your own safety. What's a locked door? It's just a barrier between you and, others, and then leaves you with your mind. You fall down, anything, go to sleep, or anything like that. Going outside, you're alone. Even the Mormons, they follow this to the extreme degree. You never see a Mormon preacher alone. Never. Because they're like a hardcore religion, and the hardcore arguments against them are heavy also. So they never put their soldiers out there alone. They're always together. But anyway, so many things have changed over the years. So many things have changed, and then sometimes things change. They have to change. But we should not change the process of pure devotional service. We should not change what the goal is. So, like that, in our, as I was just asking your particular question, in our ashram, in association, all that, a particular nice interest, and someone will come to my ashram, and the devotees will meet somebody, and then they'll come and say, oh, someone came from the Bangalore temple, and I'll just, they already know what I'm looking for, so nowadays I don't even have to say. And if he had any interest in Srila, etc., they'll immediately tell me, and I'll be like, that's very nice. So, and if they came, they're just complaining about Madhu Pandit, blah blah. Somebody fell down, somebody spoiled the money. It's like wrong reason. Stay right there, and this guy don't move. There's no sense in moving for those reasons. But if you want truth and you feel move is, then you have to move. You have to move. Society consciousness is a negligible part of our necessity in this world. It is negligible means it is not so important. There was a Gaudiya Math, and at a time, and Gaudiya Math is non-different than Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. When we say ISKCON is Prabhupada's body, Gaudiya Math is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta's body, body of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Be careful there, what you say. But, knowing that, so many moved on. Can you say they rejected their Guru Maharaj? No, not at all. They did not just remain with the body, they remained with the soul and the spirit of the mission. That's more important. They remained with the Vani. The Vapu, Srila Prabhupada would not go to the Samadhi of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, our Guru Maharaj, because of who was managing that and their attitude. He would only offer obeisances when he drove by in the car. But he would always send us there. 200, 300, 400, 500 devotees. So there was some difficulty there. So according to some individuals, everybody on Bhakti Siddhanta Road, south of Yogapeeth, is in Maya. The first stop on the way is ISKCON. Next stop is Bhakti Saranga Goswami. Then Madhav Maharaj and Sons of Maharaj, then Srila Puri Maharaj. In their estimation, they're all in Maya. This is the third branch of the Gaudiya Math. They were the real, more real, authentic disciples of Saraswati Thakur in that they lived for his mission. And they continued to establish his mission in different buildings. It's impossible to all live in the same building. This is not possible. You cannot live all under the same anything. Individuality and group consciousness, to a certain extent, is inherent in any living being here, in this world, even right down to the insects. Because in the spiritual world, everyone is an individual, and there are groups. So when this world is reflected, the groups will also be here, even in Krishna consciousness. And you enter some idea about, what you call it, spiritual competition. There's spiritual competition. But spiritual competition means devoid of envy. So there's competition to serve Krishna in the spiritual world. Competitive groups are satisfying, trying to satisfy Krishna. Ultimately, Radharani knows they're all wasting their time, actually. Because only I can fully satisfy Krishna. But they are coming to attempt. Well, let them attempt. But they will fail. But the devotees of Radharani, they are irritated to even hear that someone wants to attempt to surpass the service of our Queen. This is outrageous. Bhakti Vinod Thakur once wrote, I do not want to even hear the name of that so-called competitor of Radharani. Any questions?
I have a question regarding statement that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj wanted also GBC. Is that true?
That's also a negligible aspect of one's spiritual life that we've made very in our life. The GBC means a governing body commission. And Srila Puri Maharaj, he also has a governing body commission. And it is for the purpose of carrying out the desires and the wishes of himself. as the Guru and the Acharya. Our Guru Maharaj, he also had this idea, and in fact, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he also had that idea. And the history is there was a GBC. The GBC was formed, and some decisions were taken from the GBC body, which then led up to all the problems. So, sometimes an individual, two times or three times in Prabhupada's movement, the GBC made actually it was three times. Three times they made so much the wrong decision that 2 out of the 3 times he canceled everybody, and he said, there is no GBC. He canceled it. And he told you, you're ruining everything. The third time, he left them as GBC, and he said, you just change everything what you decided here. You go back and just do it again. You're ruining our... So just because, just like in our country, we got this rascal, his name's Bill Clinton. He's the president. So you got the presidential seal, you got the American Eagle, you got the White House. They ought to call it the den of iniquity, the Black House, The profile is he's the president of America, but the reality is the guy's skunk. So they're trying to oust the guy, get him out. But just because he's president doesn't mean that he's infallible, that he cannot make mistakes, or that everything he does is the divine good. So, any GBC from Saraswati Thakur, our Prabhupada, to Puri Maharaj, any, they should sit attentively together, harmoniously, and be very attentive to what is the divine will of the spiritual master. And with the most, what's the word, with great dexterity, they should execute that. Still, we don't think that's going on in Islam. Still. The ISKCON law book is about this thick. In the time of Srila Prabhupada, there was no law book. The books are the law book. Krishna consciousness was the criterion. Not time, not age, not male, not female, not wealth.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.